all of you have spent several months working on your projects, right? And you've spent a lot of time writing up and sending it across, and now the time has come for you to speak about it. So just think of this as time that you would, as a sharing that you would have of what you have learned in this journey of doing your project and writing about it. This is just one part of it. Yeah. So relax, and well, each of you, I think first you can have Kumaran's Children's Home. Where are you? Okay. So you have one of you can speak briefly about what you had to do. I think your project is about environment in cities and communities, and you have written about a few communities that you have visited and what they have done, and that what you'd like to see in your school as well.
Okay, this project basically started because we wanted to implement a lot of things in our school. Our school was just beginning in this, ride towards greening, and this project came right on time so that we could channelize our ideas. And this is basic economics, choosing how much of our resources we need to use, and how many hours we need to watch TV, or how many buckets of water we need to take a bath. So that's about it. And we've tried to make it as simple and as relatable. It's not rocket science. So that's about it.
And the reason we chose this theme is because it's very closely linked to our immediate lives. We're practically living in our research area. So it's practically like an everyday field study. How can we make our institutions more sustainable? How can we learn to go greener? How can we integrate it with the child's development process? That's the reason we chose this topic. And we concentrated on 3 areas: waste, water, and energy, because these are the 3 most globally debated issues so far. And we also thought of an action plan which can be implemented long term. So that was a main key factor to our project.
And lastly, we also wanted to create awareness. We learned a lot from our project, and we hope that many others can look at it. And wealth increases when we save it. Knowledge increases when we give it.
Can you just mention one key finding in your project? 1 or 2? As far as, you did some research on some communities, right? So you could give an example of what you meant by when you were interested in looking at a community, a sustainable community. What was the kind of community that you were looking for?
We were looking at the Gandhian concept of self-reliance. For example, Christ University, I don't think they're here right now, but they practically have their own paper recycling machine. They have their own waste segregation unit. So rather than sending it to a plant somewhere across the country and wasting a lot of energy, they've learned to become self-reliant. That way they're saving money, they're creating their own resources, and they're not depending on anybody else. So self-reliance is a key factor to our project.
And of course, Rishi Valley School, they're amazing. There are role models. They have many, I think, to talk about their environmental involvement. We'll need more than 2 minutes, but we took a lot of examples from them, and we've talked to our principal, and we've tried to get them to be implemented in our school. So that's what we learned.
Thank you. We have a team also from Kendriya Vidyalaya. You're from Delhi, right?
Yeah.
So can you say something about your project? Your project, I think, was about zero waste, zero solid waste management.
It was exactly the zero waste solid management in our campus. That was something about that ki, day by day we know that lots of solid waste is generated by us. That is degrading our environment, that is causing so much of that harm that it is affecting our lives. So we chose that project to implementation and conceptualization of zero waste management in our campus. That thing that inspired us was that the solid waste was degrading the soil and land quality, and ultimately it was going to the plants that we eat, the parts of plants, etc., and affecting human life and other organisms also. And it was affecting the groundwater level also, that is generally used by people for drinking water and such activities. So that was directly or indirectly affecting our lives. So we chose that project so that we can spread the awareness, we can implement that on our lives. So we can live happily with our nature.
So what were your, I mean, can you say in a few words what your, the key strategies you used to, in your school and in your surroundings to, to make sure that this happened?
Our school, Kendra Vidyalaya Vigyan Vihar, conducted various types of programs in the direction to save environment, and awareness is the first step towards it. We perform various activities in the direction to save environment. We provoke them to use paper bags instead of plastic bags.
Who are these people? Your school?
We surveyed all the classrooms in our campus. We surveyed each and every classroom and also the garden area and the canteen area. We found that the waste generated was there, canteen waste, leftover food, and paper waste.
But you also went just outside your campus and
to spread that message to our community, just not bounding it on only in our campus. We did that thing to spread that message to a broader aspect. So that we did that, and we found that those all classified into biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. So we characterize that, and the biodegradable waste such as leftover food and other horticulture waste that is generated in our garden.
And then there is the non-biodegradable waste that you could separate out.
So we use that waste for decomposition in the simple compost pit, vermicompost pit, and roly-poly that is located in our campus just behind that classrooms. A green activity area that is developed only with the help of solid waste generated in our school. Not even a single brick is bought from the outside.
So what were your main challenges? What was, they say, maybe one or two challenges that you faced in this process in your school and in the surrounding?
There was a big challenge that there are, we are talking about that, but there are so many people that they think that this is time wasting.
Okay.
We challenged this, that challenge was big.
So how did you make them listen to you?
We make them listen by connecting that topic with their lives.
Okay.
How it affects their life, ultimately their child, their grandmother, their lives. So they thought that it is important for us.
So what you realized was that there needs to be some kind of emotional connect with the issue in hand to,
exactly.
To be able to take it up in your own lives.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. So next we have Prakriya Green Wisdom School from Bangalore. So your project was on agriculture. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we chose the theme of agriculture because agriculture provides support to so many Indians, because without agriculture we would not have food. So it touches us in our day-to-day life. Now without agriculture, poor farmers, they would have no occupation, they would have no income, and we would have no food. So the main title of our project was, why should we bother about agriculture? Now, what we looked at agriculture before was just from a textbook point of view, like the different methods of agriculture, crop rotation, the different fertilizers. But after this project, what we look at agriculture now is a whole cycle, from which begins from a farmer's point of view. The farmer produces, gives it to the distributor gives it to us, we consume it. But where is the cycle being continued by us? If we are receiving, being part of the cycle, we must also contribute in some way.
So how do you relate this to your experience in school? I know that your school follows some practices, to make your food production more local. I think that's a major theme in your school. So how do you relate what you did in your
so
project
our
to
school conducts organic farming.
Right.
And we have a school canteen, so nutritious food is provided in the school canteen. So what we do is the children have a particular time in their whole timetable to spend some time in the organic garden, grow some of the organic food, use that food in the school canteen, which is eaten by us again.
Right.
So that is one of our few live projects. And 2 years back, we also had a live project which was based on the theme food. So we focused on food miles, the food labels, the effect of junk food, the pH value if that must be in our daily diet, and we celebrated traditional foods.
How did you, what informed your program, as in who advised you to, I mean, were the teachers helping you out in this, in this whole program? Is there a philosophy in the school that, that informs this program?
Yeah, we had our two teachers, Ramanti and Durganti, and our school, the name itself, Rakia Green Wisdom School, we have a close relationship with the environment, with sustainability. Besides organic farming, we do have waste management, grey water waste recycling, rainwater harvesting. So we did have a few experiences before, and I think so that's we have taken those experiences in our minds and put our thoughts into this paper.
Thank you. So we have Rishi Valley. The Rishi Valley students have, I think you have two projects, right? One is on the water and the valley, and the other watch your waste. That's what you have titled your projects as. So can each of you speak a little?
So yes, the name of our project was Water and the Valley. It dealt with water scarcity in Rishi Valley. The main reason why we chose this topic was that even when the school was first started 75 to 80 years ago, this water problem was prevalent. And now, even at the current situation, it's compounded, and it is quite a major problem right now. So we went about this project in 3 ways. One was collecting data and statistics of the water situation 15 to 20 years ago. Then the second was interviewing long-standing staff members and specialists in the field of resource conservation to get a good look at the water crisis today. And the third was providing solutions for water conservation and the compilation of all our information into one coherent essay. So after the project, we found that a distinct water cycle for our community could be drawn up. And since at the heart of the project was conservation of water, we found that water can be conserved in 3 stages in our water cycle. One is at the source, the second is in maintenance storage, and the third is in consumption. So these are the things we looked at during the course of our project.
In your project, you mentioned that, I mean, you've gone into quite some detail about water usage and how Rishi Valley's, or the valley itself, has become quite unsustainable as far as water use is concerned. Can you suggest a few ways in which the valley can cope over the next few years, or maybe in the long run? Like, for example, I visited Rishi Valley in December, and there I saw that you had shut down the vegetable production, or some part of the vegetable garden was, not being cultivated, and then you were using drip
irrigation. Yes. So Rishi Valley is geographically drought prone. It is in a rain shadow zone of Andhra Pradesh. So, and there's no river which flows nearby. So that is the most important factor that leads to the water stress in our valley. So then one of the measures we've taken is to reduce loss of water at the source itself. So the input to our water cycle comes in 2 forms. One is rainwater, and the second is groundwater. So
I think you mentioned that school uses 300,000 liters of groundwater a day.
No, not of groundwater. That's the entire consumption of the campus.
Of the campus.
Yes. So we can't overexploit the groundwater, because the water level has dipped considerably from over the last 20 years.
Yep.
So instead, we could develop better ways of capturing rainwater, which is the other input. So rainwater harvesting is a
major
is a good point to look into. Then about what you said about in the vegetable garden, the production of that may have stopped due to there's also a great loss in water in drip irrigation due to evaporation.
right. Exactly.
So if that can be cut down, we could save a lot of water there also.
Thank you.
So our paper, Watch Your Waste, it mainly focused on the food wastage in our school, and with it a little bit linking it to water wastage. We looked at the food situation in our school in terms of a cycle: production, distribution, consumption, disposal. And one of the main things we found while exploring the issue of wastage was that in our campus, we waste due to lack of awareness and attitude. But within the teachers and students, it's mainly the latter, it's mainly the attitude. And this we found by conducting a survey in our dining hall.
Right.
So we put forward a question like, do you waste because you think at an individual level that the amount you waste, it isn't really significant? And more than 70% of the people said yes. So it seems like there's a bit of a chalta hai attitude between many of the students here. And while exploring the issue of wastage, we ran into self-sufficiency, Rishi Valley's self-sufficiency, and how we can rein in our food mile. So it extends in many directions for hundreds of kilometers. So how we can demand grain from local sources,
right,
so that will improve their market and help our self-sufficiency. And we wanted to kind of attain zero wastage. That's the thing we were aiming for. We came up with simple and pretty much practical solutions that can be implemented anywhere, anytime. One of the main solutions were using incentives. See, people don't really respond to moral incentives these days, right? So
I know. I'm also in. I mean, one of the things that I've tried in when sitting and eating with kids was to ask them, look, there are so many people across the country who are starving, and you waste food. That doesn't work. And beyond a point, that doesn't seem to work.
yeah, I mean, our parents' well-worn gem of look at the African children of today. So it doesn't work. Moral incentives don't work. So we thought about using practical incentives, And I'm not saying huge ones or anything, simple ones. Like in our school, we could ration water, and the hostels that stay within the quota of their water get to go for a house hike. Simple things like that. And things like this could be used on a slightly wider scale all across India, in other campuses, etc. So,
Thank you. Our last school is Anubhuti School from Jalgaon, and I think one of the very interesting themes that you have chosen is to talk about relationships in homes. And I found this very interesting because I come from a school where we talk about this all the time, and we spend several hours with the kids talking about relationships, how to relate to each other, and and the quality of the relationships. And you had some interesting things to say on the nature of human relationships and how it impacts the way we live, and relate that to sustainable living. Please.
Well, the first thing that we have talked about in our essay is that there are 4 kinds of homes. The first home is you, yourself, what you teach to yourself. The second is your home, where you live. The third is the school where you study. And the fourth is the entire universe. These are your 4 homes.
Right.
And each home has 4 physical domains, 4 walls. There are like 4 aspects, you can call them. There is physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional. Now, today what is happening is we are concerned only with the physical. Like that is what we have been talking about. We talk about the physical aspects, the problems we are facing, the solutions that are there. These are the symptoms. But why is this happening? What is the mental, emotional, and spiritual condition of human beings
So what did you
behind
find?
it taking place? We found that the problem starts with us, with the second school, which is the home, where we live. Today what has happened is people have become so competitive. You know, it's like how to survive. In the homes, the home itself, we are taught, you know, compete, debate, divide, live for yourself. So it is leading to divisions. And because we are dividing, we are striving for ourselves. We're not in harmony with the whole creation. We want to live for us. That is why we want to consume more water. Each house wants to have more water for itself. And that is what leads to all these problems. So first of all, what we point out is that we need to change ourselves. If we don't change ourselves, the world will not change. We need to change our mental thinking, our attitude towards life, towards this entire universe.
I think you have spoken the words of several philosophers over, including the Buddha, over the past several thousand years who have been talking about this. Thank you so much. So, I had some general questions, that came from reading your essays and listening to you. One question was that, if I could ask you, students from Kumarans, you had talked about sustainable homes and sustainable communities, right? When do a group of homes, when do a group of sustainable homes become a sustainable community? Are the initiatives different in some ways that, having a group of sustainable homes, does that automatically lead to a sustainable community?
Naturally. See, the thing is, we need to all develop a consciousness, and we need to do all these actions unconsciously. We need to go home and switch off our lights. These things shouldn't even be something external. It should come naturally to us. So when communities naturally do all these, it will not be a burden. It will not be an extra thing. See, we won't be having this conference or anything because it will be something very natural as part of nature. And when we start doing that alone, can we expect a sustainable development?
So you would want other people in your neighborhood to be also part of your journey in making
naturally. One thing we highlighted in our project was something called the ripple effect.
Right.
When one change happens in one place, you might think that a lot of people will put you down, but in many instances, they learn from you. By creating a sustainable household, you can create a sustainable community. By creating a sustainable community, you can create a sustainable country. And by creating a sustainable country, you can create a sustainable world.
There's another question that keeps coming up, if I could ask students from Prakriya, if you could respond. Many of the solutions that you are talking about in agriculture is in growing your own food, right, in your own homes, or growing locally, right? There is that is something you are saying is a way out, is a more sustainable way of living. But there are a group of people, increasingly loud and dominant opinion that, well, thinking local, the time for thinking local is over. Now it's time to think global. Only global solutions can, can change what's happening and the rate at which things are going. Now, local solutions are no longer sustainable. So, what do you have to say to that?
Thinking local is for a long-term effect, and thinking global is for a short-term. So if we think local and if we begin local in some point, we'll obviously have a long-term effect. And right now, being the Indian society is an agrarian society, agriculture is the base of our whole society. So right now, India is an importing as well as an exporting country. Slowly, if we don't start to grow local or we don't support local, if we go towards global, like going towards things that are not grown locally, then the whole base of agriculture is going to go. We are not going to become an exporting, but rather an importing.
I think the context, like if I could give the a context to the question, it was something like energy, for example. There are ideas of having solar panels across the whole of the Sahara Desert and supplying Europe for it. I mean, the idea is that now Europe is cloud, covered by clouds for various times of the year, and Sahara is, has a lot of insulation for large parts of the year. So make energy in Sahara, take it to Europe. So what do you say for agriculture and for food production? Well, there are places where food is grown, and there are places where there is a severe food crisis. So, but you say that that there is something interesting and something intrinsic in local food that that makes it more sustainable, right? So, how is local food more sustainable?
If you look at local food, you look at the food miles. We look at the nutrition within it. We look at the amount, and if you look at organic food, the amount of fertilizers, the amount of pesticides used in it, and we are the ones who are consuming it. So if you look at organic as well as local together, it's much more better than looking at global, and thus it obviously has a long-term effect.
Thank you.
And we're also going to help our farmers. So.
Thank you. So again, I was wondering about again, students from Rishi Valley. You live in a community. It's like an extended community. You also interact with villages around you, right? If you are to go and ask questions and try to convince them, right, of for the need to green the valley, green the community, to make the larger valley more sustainable, what kind of questions would you ask them?
Well, I don't really think we would need to ask them the question, because as far as sustainability is concerned, they are far, far ahead of us. Well, obviously they're local and they understand the situation a lot better than us. Their wastage is something to be proud of. It's very minimal because they know the ways of the valley and all that. So if anything, we should be getting tips from them.
Thank you. I have the same question for you in, from Delhi. So what questions would you ask your community to convince them or to talk to them even?
We can convince them by telling them that it is important for them. How it is important, for example, you can say, this is your life and you have to make it good. Not other person will say that you are not living like that or this, you are harming the nature. You have to implement first of yourself, and then we will convey them that if you will start, if you will do a bit, then other will also do a thing. That bit as हिंदी की कहावत है कि बूंद बूंद से घड़ा भरता है. So that if I will do a bit, I hope that other person will also give their best, will give their best. Of course, by getting inspired by others, you can also inspire others to do that. So first implement on yourself.
Thank you.
So we can also say that it's our duty to save Mother Earth. It is a vivid expression of God, and we humans and Mother Earth are connected in more than one way. So if we will not apply all these steps, then it will ultimately
Come
affect
back to
us.
us.
So it's upon me and you and each and every people. So we should think upon.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we? I think we have we are running out of time. Yeah. One last question. So for the students from Jalgaon, so what do you see as the single biggest challenge to sustainable living?
The biggest challenge we think is to change ourselves, because what we are inside is what we reflect outside. So our thinking
the way we are, our attitude towards life should be changed. And that is the way we change the world outside.
Thank you so much. Thank you all of you for okay. Can you pass the mic?
I just want to convey to all a message that our Mother Earth is serving just like a mother. She give us everything that we need and that we don't need also. So what we are giving to is just degrading it, contaminating its water, resources, etc. So we should think that why she is giving everything, but we are not giving back to it, only giving it only the pain. That's the big thing.
So I think you're saying we'll end this by with what both of you have said, that we need to look at the way we consume, the way we approach life, and I think in that lies the answer. I mean, that lies the answer to change the society and the way we look at problems. Right? Thank you all of you. Thank you for listening.